We got about 50 seconds, so I'm gonna say, hey, I'm Lieutenant Gonzalez. I'm here with a special guest. And then,
And I'll be distracted for about the first 20 seconds while I try to get logged in.
Hey, man.
" 20 seconds out. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Hey everyone, I'm Lieutenant Gonzalez with the Nueces County Sheriff's Office. I'm here with our co-host Natalie Williams.
Hi, everybody.
And we have a very special guest today. His name is Terrin Spittle. He's one of our corrections officers here with the Nueces County Sheriff's Office. We hope that everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I know we're very thankful of everything that we have going on here at the Sheriff's Office. So, Corrections Officer Spittle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, good afternoon now, everybody. I hope you guys are enjoying a good lunch out there. I started with the Nueces County Correctional Office, or Sheriff's Office, as a correctional officer a year ago. I remember I had signed up. I had, talked to you guys maybe 4 months before I had actually got on and reapplied. And I was like, you know what? No, it's not for me. But something that kept bringing me back to just being a correctional officer, which is something I never ever had in mind.
Do you remember your first day, like kind of walking in the door? Tell us a little bit about the process. Was it, was it a lot?
Getting hired on?
Yeah, getting hired on. Tell us a little bit about
fast. That was probably the fastest
Probably like to hear.
process. That was probably the fastest application process I ever went through. Hey, did the application process. Are you ready to come in and take a test? You can come in any Friday. Or it was Wednesday and Friday.
Any day.
Yeah.
Any day that ends with Y, come on in.
Yeah.
We're here for you.
Yeah, I was like, okay, sounds good. I was like, man, maybe I should study for the test. And then I was like, what? I think I'm pretty smart. I should be able to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I came in, like, I just come in now. Yeah, come on in. So came on in. I took the test, and like, hey, you passed flying colors. Congratulations. I was like, oh, sweet. That's good. Yeah, well, we're going to be doing interviews if you'd like to schedule for today. I was like, do I need to go home and change? Or like, you look pretty presentable right now. Take you as you are.
You're good enough, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, good. And I was like, all right, this is great. And I was like, I'll just do it right now. Like, okay, so went in, did the interview, and I think it was I can't remember who was on the board. I want to say it was maybe Sergeant Souter, I think
Corporal Convoy,
I think Corporal Convoy was. I know he was on there, and then Captain Ronda, and it was good. We had that interview, and let's go get your uniforms. I was like, oh wow, okay, like yeah, you can start in 3 days. You can do your orientation. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, perfect, But I told them I was up front. I was like, I have some affairs I need to get in order. I like my clients, my personal trainer, and I have my other stuff that I train on the side. And so I was like, I need to get my clients in order to make sure that tell me, hey, schedule's going to be switching up. And you guys are like, hey, no problem. Like, we understand. It's like complete, as long as there's complete transparency, there's complete understanding from the sheriff's office. And that was perfect. And then, it was like, we did a couple of days of orientation, and, I think it was like 2 days later, it was like stepping into the doors. And I was like, oh, this is
what it is,
yeah. God really, he's really the one, I'd say, that put me in here, because honestly, I don't think I've ever done this on my own accord. I think I put my faith in him a lot. God kind of let me in to make sure that I was set where I needed to be, and I needed a new purpose. Especially leaving, now getting to the past, leaving the Marine Corps.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. We know you have you started out in the Marines and before you came here, so tell us a little bit about that.
Month out of high school.
Oh wow.
Month out of high school, pushed off to the United States Marine Corps. I stayed there for 10 years. I got actually billeted in a few jobs while I was in there, and it was a great time. Met a lot of brothers that are a lot of men that I still call my brothers to this day.
Right.
And I mean, that set me up for everything. I mean, my first year was tough. I'm not gonna lie. That first year.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. And it's
almost any branch. I think that first year is a lot of learning, a lot of
Yeah, I tell people all the time. My new guys that were coming in, I'm like, don't let the Marine Corps give you your identity, but establish a strong identity so that you can establish a strong Marine identity. But I was trying. I wasn't sheltered as a kid, but I was not. Grew up in a pretty Christian household, so I didn't know fully what the Marine Corps had in store for me. And it was that first year. I was like, okay, it was a culture shock at first, and I had never been pushed to those limits. Things were usually pretty easy for me. High school was, if I applied myself, high school was pretty easy as far as academics. And then I was always physically fit, so I never had that problem. But there was, the hurdles of applying all of this to, some of the best, and then wanting more. And then I had to kind of get to that breaking point where, and I was reading actually the other day as I was kind of reading through some of the BPOC stuff, and they were talking about like some of the stages that you go through. So I went through this job, and I went through the Marine Corps, where you're like, I think the first one is idealistic. I want to say it is.
Right.
And you're like, you're gung ho. You're like, this is everything I'm gonna do. And then you get there. I can't remember the second stage, but it's like where everything hits you, and you're like, this is not what I thought it was gonna be.
Right. It's a little different than expected.
I had all my goals set, and I can't do them because right. So, that was the beginning of that. And
so let's back up a little. So you're bringing up the BPOC, right? Which is something that you just started studying for the academy yesterday, right? So. We had a conversation yesterday about, hey, what's our agency expectation out of you guys, right? And I told you guys, hey, we want to see a valedictorian and a class leader.
Yeah.
So what he's talking about is he's in our first sponsored class at Del Mar. So we one of 4 of the first sponsored class, and we're super excited. But we also have very high expectations.
So very high expectations. So tell us a little bit about the process. So first, what made you, obviously, I'm sure you're starting off right, and you want to apply everywhere, and you want to be a cop. So so tell us, what was the process like? Was there an email? What happened? Can you kind of go into the process of how do we get to you being in the selected for the BPOC?
So it happened. I think I want to say we're in Diciembre right now.
We're in Spanish.
We're in Spanish class right now. Right? So we're currently in Diciembre, and this happened back in. I think it started somewhere back in Marzo, maybe.
In March.
April. But it first came out like you have to have 3 years with the county or you can't go. And I was like, there it goes.
I'm out.
Yeah, it was my chance, right?
I was like, well, I could maybe use the GI Bill to do it. I was like, but I want to use my GI Bill to get a criminal justice degree, not waste 7 months or 6 months of it. I wouldn't say waste, but I wouldn't want to use the 6 months on it just to get the licensing. And and I had a pretty good talk with Chief Rivera, and I was like, hey, I know there's some people in here that would probably be a good candidate. I was like, but in the jail personally, I was like, there's a lot of people here that haven't been here for 3 years.
Right.
I was like, that would honestly, one, be a good candidate to go. I was like, and some of them have had experience, even in another jail somewhere else. Right. Not necessarily just Nueces County. So everyone, I was like, we should build an algorithm that allows everyone to go. And I was like, or else, a lot of people are probably gonna end up leaving themselves and resigning. I was like, in order to put themselves through it, and he was like,
and that's a good point, because we did have, over the last year and a half, we had a huge influx of new people. So there's a ton of people that don't even have 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Over 100 people.
Yeah. Over 100.
And you're one of
You're
the 100.
one of them.
Exactly.
And so I was like, and he's like, oh, you know what? He's like, maybe everybody hold their horses. We can figure this out. We can figure this out. I was like, okay, and months go by, and everyone kind of, I think
The momentum.
what am I trying to say? The fire started to dwindle in everybody's eyes. But like for me, I was always like, hey, Chief, how's it going? Hey, Ken, how's it going? Hey, so what's that academy thing gonna happen? Like, oh, we're not sure. And I'm like, okay. talk to the patrol guys. I'm like, yeah, so that patrol thing, or that getting over to the Beep Hawk, they're like, oh, I mean, we think it's still happening. I'm like, you guys think it's still happening, huh? Talk back to Jill. I mean, some weeks later. But once the decision was made, that was in October.
So let me back up a little bit, right? So then you went to the jail academy, right?
I did.
And then the sheriff, I think Sheriff Hooper mentioned it during those academy.
He did.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And he said, hey, you guys need to get ready.
This is in the works.
This is in the works.
That was one of our questions too. What's going on with the academy? Mm-hmm. And he said it is. He wants to be able to
get the mechanism.
To be able to bring people through the system.
Right.
So that way,
in the fairest way possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. And then a lot of people, they come to the correctional side because they want to establish themselves somewhere in the law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't have experience somewhere else, or maybe they need a few years as a buffer for anything and everything. And they want to come to the jail first. I honestly think that it does. It really does make you can do it one or two ways. It either helps you, makes you, or breaks you. Some people leave the correction and they kind of take this a mentality that they already had inside, and they may take out in the streets.
And we often say like, if you can be a corrections officer after a year or two, you can be anything in the world, right? But then
if you do it right, you can literally, if you can do it right mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, then you can take everything you have to the outside world, and no matter what job that you go into, no matter what career you end up establishing yourself in, what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, and if you deal with it right, honestly prepares you for almost anything. It's amazing, So Sheriff Hooper did. You brought that up, and here it is. 3 months later or so, it was, hey, get ready, we're doing it.
This is how you do it.
Everybody was like, oh my God. And even for me, I was like, oh man, okay.
It's like a little bit of your heart starts behind it.
Here it is.
Here it is. You guys been asking about it?
Here we go.
Yeah. I was like, I need to start training. I try to work out as much as possible. Sometimes the hours hurt, but and then we get to. I remember us going out shooting. I'm like sitting there. I was like, so we're gonna do like a little dry run, right? Like before we go, and we're gonna do like one, maybe just like get 20 rounds and just, just to get the morning jitters up. Like, no, we're just shooting. I was like, oh, okay. So no one's getting like just a couple rounds. He's like, nope. I was like, this is gonna be very interesting. I think this will be very interesting, But God willing, He kept my eyes straight and my fingers steady. I ended up shooting pretty high. I've always shot pretty high, but I'm very humble. So anything can happen.
Right.
Anything can
Everybody's
happen.
got a bad day.
Yeah.
So what did you shoot?
I think it was a 90. I want to say it was a 97.
97. It's almost a perfect.
Because I know during the jail academy, I know in jail academy I got a 97.
Yeah, didn't you get beat by like 1 point?
I got by Jones. Jones beat me by 1. He got a 98, I think.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh man.
It's always competitive, right?
It is. And honestly, me and Jones we were batting it back and forth through the whole thing, and it was it was good. It was good to have somebody, and he's also a Marine as well.
Right.
So it was good to have somebody, that I consider a friend,
A brother.
and a brother and a good person to be able to kind of go back and forth, and it paid off. During we did a lot of study groups at my house, and he was always there, and me and him studied the same, So he ended up getting top shot. I got valedictorian, which I think put a target on my back for jail school or for police academy, But it's our target was for I was like, this guy's got the book in his head. That's crazy, So I think it's gonna be fun. We have a great group of people going. Sergeant Tyler, Officer Anderson, Thomas, and I think we're gonna be, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a real good time.
We're excited to have you there, and our expectations are very high though.
Yeah.
The sheriff went to the Del Mar graduation because we have 2 cadets from the last class that we hired straight out of the class.
Right.
And after that, the sheriff was like, "Yeah, all those awards, they better be ours next year."
Yeah, I'm sitting there, man. I'm just okay. I was like, and it puts a strain
you know, not a strain, like a good stress.
Right.
It puts a good stress. It's like, you know what, you know, once you get older, you're matured. You know, you're like, okay, they're paying to put me through this. Like, let me make the best possible, you know, outcome of the situation. I'm gonna try for valedictorian, but I'm getting it. I'm gonna try for top shot.
Right.
I'm get it. I'm gonna get it. You know, unfortunately, there's, you know, 350,000 people, right, in Corpus,
Yeah.
and so, and if we talk about people from Robstown, everybody else, it's
in the area,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
in the 11
Yeah,
county
and
But
poverty.
Yeah.
luckily, Lieutenant has made it to where you guys can start studying now
Yeah.
and get some practice shooting in and all that stuff, so we can
Yeah.
make sure y'all have your best.
Don't get me
foot
wrong,
forward.
you know, I still have the sour kid inside me that wants to be on shift a little bit still,
Oh,
but, you know,
it'll pay off.
it will.
It'll
But as
pay
I was
off.
looking into the book yesterday, and I was like, okay, I'm making my note cards and kind of getting like that head start
So-
into getting my brain back into school.
School
Into
mode.
school mode, yeah, and that's what we
the
want.
point,
You know,
yeah.
we want to get you into school mode, and then it's gonna be competitive, right?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
you know, we had a physical, you know, running, sit-ups, push-ups. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't just given to you guys. You had to earn it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And whether it be the physical part, the shooting part, you also took an academic test.
Yeah.
So combined with everything, you know, that's how you got here, right? So
Yeah. And
everything.
you asked me about that afterwards too,
Mhm.
you know, which I thought was like, oh, he's actually asking me about this. I was like, does he? I was like, that's pretty cool. You know, but you asked me like, hey, do you think this whole process was fair? I was like, well, and I told you, I was like, fair is very worldly to me.
Right.
You know, I was like, that's a worldly question. Just it's more of a feelings question. I was like, but just, you know, is it just? I was like, we all have the same opportunity.
Mhm.
You know, I was like, no matter what, you know, if you've been here 13 years, if you've been here that less than 1 year, we all had the same opportunity, you know, from March when it first came out, you know, till then, to say, okay, like, I'm gonna dedicate my heart to this, you know, and I shoot a lot, I train a lot, you know, fortunately, I have been in, you know, the intake area a little bit more, so I get to see like some of the charges that people come in with.
Mhm.
You know, and I was blessed enough, you know, God put me down, you know, allowed that journey for me. I'm down in intake, and I get to see what the supervisors are like and kind of what they do, you know, pick their brains, and then I get to see the charges that people come in with. So it's like your brain starts to remember, like, oh, 22.01,
Start thinking, yeah,
49.01,
that's
38 point,
great.
you know, so you start to see these penal codes, and it sticks
Mhm.
after a while. And that helped me out a lot when we took the written exam.
That's
You
awesome.
know, just to know, like, okay, what's the difference between this, and this. So,
Well, just so you know, I'm assuming this is your wife, Destiny.
yeah.
She said,
Uh-huh.
"So proud of you, baby, but valedictorian is a requirement."
Oh, yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
coming from her.
That's
That's coming from her, not from us.
Yeah, she hit the ground running in mother mode during that whole time. I got home, and baby wants to play, daughter wants to play, and I'm just like in my book. You know, I have people over for study group, you know, and she hit the ground running, you know, for those 6 weeks,
That's amazing.
you know, and I was like, thank you so much. I was like, honestly, I would never get the valedictorian if it wasn't for her.
You know, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because even though you're going to the academy, she's going to the academy with you, because you know, that commitment, it's a 42-week commitment.
I mean, not even that, she's in school herself.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like, you know, it's
Yeah.
gonna be
It's
it's
gonna
gonna
be
be a run.
A
Yeah,
juggling
for
act,
sure.
yeah.
It's gonna be a run. You know, we're gonna be relying on each other a lot. You know, we're gonna be praying a lot. You know, and I mean, we're not gonna get through our own accord. God's gonna be able to get us through. You know, the Lord's gonna be able to make our path. You know, so it's gonna be good. We're both gonna be in school, and I think she's saying the other day that she's actually doubling up on a course so that she can finish.
Wow.
I'm like, wow. Okay.
We're doing it. Yeah.
We're
That's
doing
right.
this, you know.
That's right.
And so it's gonna be great. I'm excited to go. You know, I'm excited to meet. You know, especially in the network that happens too. You get to meet more people.
Right.
That's what I loved about the jail school as well. You know, it's always, you know, when you're on the bottom of everything, it's always, you know, what's going on there, and why aren't you doing this and this and that. But it was good that we were to come together in there and say, okay, what is going on inside the jail? Like, what can we do better? You know, and where are we falling short? And you know, maybe where can we help other people that are falling short? You know, and so I think, and that's why I'm excited to go into, you know, the Regional Police Academy as well, because you get to see, you know, different, you know, mindsets
And a bigger
people-
picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, well, this is what I deal with in
Mhm.
Robstown, and this is what I deal with in Southside Corpus, or you know, this is what I deal with in downtown Corpus.
Right.
You know, and so it's a lot different, you know, to get people like, especially knowing who's going to be working,
Right.
right? So you get to sit there like, oh yeah, I went to academy with that guy, you know what, I know that's a good guy. Let's you know,
Mhm.
Right.
you know, I know that person, I know this person. You get to see like how, I mean, because at the end of the day, you're going to see how the city's ran.
Right.
Because you know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's like, yeah, we're here to protect, you know, but we're also here to serve, you know, and
Mhm.
that's what I wanted to bring into the jail community as well, is just servitude,
Right.
you know, and that was kind of where what did I say in the beginning? The idealistic kind of started, like, okay, I can't serve as much as I want to, because
Right.
I was like, we still have a job to do.
Right.
You know, people are like, hey, no, I'm just trying to help the inmate and do this. Okay, you know, like you got to find that time, but you got to tailor it to everything else as well.
Finding a balance.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, I got it. Okay, I can do it.
Mhm.
You know, and then they got to the commitment portion, which is also in the stages. There's a lot of stages in there, you know, good and bad, but then you get to the commitment stage, and you know, I didn't know what it was at the time, but now I know as I was kind of reading through that, reading through the book, and it's just stating that you can't be perfect, you know the system can't be perfect, but all you're doing is maintaining your individual action and maybe somebody else's,
Right.
in order to stay on a path that creates a good solution, you know. So that's what I want to bring, you know, to jail, and that's what I want, you know, to bring to, you know, patrol, you know, or warrants, or
So.
you know, wherever I
So
go.
let's talk a
after
little
that.
bit about that. So we know that we're gonna send you to the Peace Officer Academy, right? And what are your aspirations when you come back? Is that something you want to go into patrol? You want to stay in the jail? You know, what do you want to do?
No, I think there's always going to be a point where I want to come back to the jail. You know, maybe run for sheriff.
Hey!
No, but there's always going to be a point where I want to come back to the jail. You know, and it's you don't get a lot of time with people on the streets, but I think that street time is needed.
Right.
It is absolutely needed.
Mhm.
You know, but I think, you know, yeah, you know, everyone has this thing like, oh, once I get to this point, okay, if I make captain, then I'll have so much more time to walk through the jail and, you know, pick days where, okay, I want to talk to these inmates, you know, and say, what's going on, what's this, what's that, I want
Right.
to talk to these officers, I want to see what's going on in your life, you know, but then you get to that point, you're like, I have no time for this, you know, so you go back to those stages again.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, I think that I want to be well-rounded within the county, or, you know, wherever God sends me. You know, but I want to be well-rounded.
Right.
You know, and I think that's where, you know, some careers or some organizations where they fall, where this person's been only at this spot and this person's been only at this spot. You know, yeah, they can talk, they can communicate, but what if that person had, you know, a background in both?
They're a little bit
experience.
better, well-rounded, right? Maybe
Right.
you want to go into patrol, and then once you're there for a few years, and you go into warrants, and
Yep.
once you're in warrants, maybe you go into CID,
Yep.
and you want to rotate, and you want to know a little bit about everything that's going on,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
And so that definitely would be a good career path to take, is to be a little bit well-rounded and know a little bit about every aspect that
Right.
the sheriff's office do. Like you mentioned, the jail, patrol, we have warrants, we have the CID division, we have courthouse security. So there's different aspects of the sheriff's office that people sometimes don't realize that we even have.
Yeah,
A lot of
it's
opportunities to learn.
huge.
Yeah,
Like
right.
it, you know, it's from what you see on the outside, and then once you kind of get into it, oh, this is actually
It's like
kind of
a lot
big.
going on,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot pushing through here.
Yeah,
You know,
for
and
sure.
You know, God bless Sheriff Hooper, man. You know, but you know, I wanna, you know, I wanna maintain just a steady path. I don't want to charge too fast. You know, I don't want to overstep my own growth. You know, I really don't. I don't want to overstep my growth. And just, you know, allow the Lord to take the reins and just see where He leads me.
Especially when there is so much to learn, because if you do go too fast, then you're not gonna grasp everything that you could have in this one position
Right.
before jumping up to the next one,
Right.
so.
You know, and all the
I think
doors will
that's
get
a good-
open when they get open. You know, like this one, I was just like, it just happened. You know, I was like, oh, okay, you know, great. And I did, honestly, you know, I thought, I was like, man, I don't really have, these guys got seniority years, they got 13 years. And like, supervisors, are like, man, they already got this test down. And I'm like, man, I'm probably not gonna make it. Not gonna lie. I was like, oh,
And that's why we built it the way we did,
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
sure that,
yeah.
That anybody,
If you
right,
have
as
the
long
skills,
as, if you can do
right.
it, then anybody, if you put your mind to it, then anything can be accomplished. And we wanna make sure that, that message is out there that, hey, if you put your mind to it, and you can do it, you can compete for it, you can attain it.
Absolutely, and it's, some people reached out too, as well, even during jail school, and I was like, hey, like, I shoot a lot, I shot a lot more back then, but I was like, but I still like to maintain, and I still teach people, and, but I'm like, hey, if you guys need it, come to me, there's a couple people who did, like, we went to, some ranges out here, and I was like, look, we're just gonna go through the basics. Like we don't need bullets today. We need no bullets today. Let's just go through the basics and do what we need to do. Some of them I'm like, hey, we are getting these bullets today. I want you, because it was like the day before, I'm like, well, you need to feel the kick. Like you need to feel what
Right.
this thing can do. Like the damage that can be done. So and because it needs to click in your brain.
Right.
At the end of the day, man, this is a weapon of destruction.
Serious, yeah.
No matter how small it is, like it is what it is. So they went through all the safety stuff, and then boom, like they passed. It's like I don't care how you pass, you pass.
right,
And so even for there's people, one person I should say, took advice.
Yeah.
To everything else. And
well, and I will say y'all's academy class, the jail academy, the camaraderie that your class had was something that I hadn't really seen yet, and so that was really nice to see.
It's not the first time I've heard that, and because, it's, when you put things in a melting pot, sometimes what comes out for dinner is really good. Sometimes what comes out for dinner
Not so
is
good. Yeah.
slop. And not saying that not saying the potato's delicious, might be delicious by itself, but once you add it with the cabbage, or once you add it with Brussels sprout, like that. But
Right.
I like the Brussels sprout by itself. But once you mix too much in there, sometimes if you don't mix it right, if you don't love it, nurture it right, as you're cooking it, sometimes it just ends up burnt. But that's not the first time I've heard that. We're like, from us, there's just the first time that they've been like, you know what, you guys really came in here, and it was like, shook hands and said, let's get this job
Between
done.
the study sessions
Yeah.
and the runs and all, I mean, it was good to see. I liked to see it.
I may be good at running, but I do not like running.
And you
Same.
guys, I remember you guys did the exit 5K run too, right?
Yes, they
We
did.
did.
So,
We did the down, and I got lost too, because I'm the rabbit, and I don't really.
I was gonna say, I think you got lost, but you still beat some people. Now,
Yeah.
if you don't remember, I know we're getting close to time, but this is the guy that was chased by the canine in the foot pursuit challenge, and he probably, if he didn't have such a small area, he might have beat him. He's pretty fast.
I got her. It was her. I got her once.
Yeah.
Juked her hard.
Juked her one way.
Ah.
She caught up with him.
And it was hot too. It was so hot. Like,
Really
in my
hot.
in my
Have you been
mind.
out there a while already?
Yeah. In my mind, on the way back, I'm not saying the flash, but I had time to think as I was running, and I'm on my way back. I'm like, it's hot, and everybody else. I'm looking at everybody else's faces, and everybody else is hot, and the dog has the the anti-bite
Right.
Vitaman.
Keep talking.
He has the anti-Vitaman, muzzle on there, and so I'm like, okay.